17 death-dealing and monstrous villains of Mortal Kombat, backstories explored in detail. It has been over 28 years, and still the Mortal Kombat franchise continues to soar ahead of its competition when it comes to fighting games. But what is it that fueled the craze behind the series? Well, for starters, it is certainly not just about the gore and fatalities. It is easy to suggest that extreme violence is what attracts people, but there is so much more to the narrative and characters. People get engrossed with the game because of the fascinating lore, the cast is well defined, and the deep character analysis makes things all the more exciting for gamers. Mortal Kombat is premised in a fictional universe that is 6 realms overseen by the Elder Gods. In this video, we will give you a detailed account of some of the iconic villains of the series, so sit tight because this is going to be one long and wholesome ride with just about every notable enemy. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Quan Chi. Quan Chi is a conniving sorcerer who is one of the most notorious individuals from the eternally damned Netherrealm. This demon is an expert in dark magic and necromancy and a dreaded enemy for the Outworld as well as the Earthrealm. We have seen him as an ally to the fallen elder god Shinnok, and he has been one of the main antagonists in the series. Quan Chi is extremely cunning, and he constantly plots to take over the Earthrealm and all of reality. He is also known to manipulate those who are vulnerable to achieve his personal agenda.
Why would I fight for you?
Because he will be in attendance.
This tall and well-built demon has completely white skin. He is a mage of the highest order, and only the likes of Shao Kahn, Shang Tsung, Delia, and Shinnok can match up to his skills. While he is quite capable in regular combat as well, his magical powers surpass his fighting skills. His ability to reanimate the dead and include them in his service also adds to his repertoire. Quan Chi could summon portals at will and is capable of traveling through the realms with these gateways. This shape-shifting demon is a soul stealer as well, just like Shang Tsung, and his fighting style involves moves that can easily trick the enemy into their own demise. He is often seen getting his hands on powerful artifacts like the Shinnok's amulet, Onaga's undead army, and the immortal skull on his armor. Quan Chi had his first video game appearance in Mortal Kombat Mythology's Sub-Zero, and his playable debut came in Mortal Kombat 4. You will also find him in Mortal Kombat X as the secondary villain. Quan Chi aspired to rule by Shinnok's side and consequently conspired to keep the original amulet of Shinnok by fooling both Sub-Zero and Shinnok. Although he was manipulative, he did make some powerful enemies like Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Shao Kahn. He is a legendary villain in this series, and he is hailed as one of the most celebrated antagonists in the overall video game genre. As for the Mortal Kombat series, he is the primary antagonist in many instances. He was first seen in Mortal Kombat 2, where he was the final boss. This continued in Mortal Kombat 3 and the games that followed. He was again back as the main villain in the story mode of Mortal Kombat 2011, where he was no longer playable. He is the Emperor of the Outworld, and his incredible godlike strength that makes him one of the most powerful characters in the series, in some ways being more of a god. You would recognize Shao Kahn at a single glance because he towers over his opponents. He has a warlord helmet, and his demonic face looks horrifying with his trademark red eyes. He is an expert spellcaster, and his powers are a deadly combination of superhuman strength, magic, and durability. Shao Kahn looks like a large Asian warrior, and his ferocity in battles makes him a feared opponent. He is a great leader, but his arrogance and overconfidence sometimes weighs him down. Just like Shang Tsung, he too can absorb the souls of others and increase his power. His abilities are so supreme that he has the potential to steal billions of souls from a realm with a mere hand motion, without even stepping foot there. He even retains the knowledge of the people whose souls he steals, and thus he keeps getting wiser. His incredible psychic powers also mean that he can enslave thousands and control them.
You will be next.
Shang Tsung. He is the host for the traditional Mortal Kombat tournament, and this soul-stealing sorcerer has been one of the finest villains in the series.
Your soul is mine.
Shang Tsung was the major villain in the first Mortal Kombat game, and we remember him as the unplayable final boss. It was only in Mortal Kombat 2 that he was interactable, whilst also becoming a secondary antagonist. This notorious shape-shifting sorcerer must consume souls to continue living, and he is as cunning as a trickster can be. He is famously known for being the arch-rival of Liu Kang, but he also has some other powerful enemies like Quan Chi and Kung Lao. His allegiance to Shao Kahn was constant, and he could move through the realms completely undetected by the Elder Gods. We have seen him in various appearances, starting from that of an old man with pale skin. It was from Mortal Kombat 2 that he retained his youthful state with long black hair. Some of the Mortal Kombat lore states that he was originally from Earth, while others claim that he had bound his soul to Shao Kahn, and thus his victories counted as wins for Outworld. The 2011 Mortal Kombat game clarifies that he indeed hailed from Earth, but he willingly bound his soul to Shao Kahn to enjoy the extensive powers. While he was supremely powerful, he was cursed by the gods that caused him to age rapidly unless he consumed the souls of others. When he took the soul of some individual, he also gained their knowledge and fighting skills. He could even shapeshift into that character and sneak up on his enemies. Shang Tsung is mainly associated with the element fire, and his fighting moves also involve the same. Many don't know that he was inspired by Lo Pan from the movie Big Trouble in Little China, and the makers had initially planned to name him Shang Lao. Shinnok. Shinnok is a fallen elder god, and he is one of the crucial characters in the popular fighting game series. He is the god of death, and all he wants is death and destruction to wreak havoc across all the realms. He was first seen in Mortal Kombat Mythology's Sub-Zero, where he was the primary antagonist, and in Mortal Kombat 4, he was seen as a playable character. Many fans debate whether Shinnok is the evilest being in the series. This vengeful elder god loves to create panic by fearmongering and thrives on violence. His dark powers and incredible strength make him a powerful opponent, and he is the ruler of the Netherrealm. His abilities are centered around darkness, and his immeasurable might makes him invincible. Shinnok has a rather creepy appearance with his slender frame and pale decaying skin to signify his corrupted nature. This shape-shifting god of death can take the form of anyone he wants, and he has reigned for millions of years, acquiring more power and knowledge along the way. He is extremely manipulative, and we saw the best of his cunning moves when he made Quan Chi convince Shao Kahn to merge the Outworld with the Earthrealm. This ensured that both the realms would be vulnerable to attack by the Netherrealm, and it provided him with the ideal opportunity.
There is an Earthrealm force in Netherrealm.
I am aware. They will be neutralized.
Shinnok is fiercely determined to command loyalty from his followers and will destroy anyone who poses a threat. His biggest flex is the fact that he cannot be killed, and it is only possible to imprison him within his amulet. The story mode of Mortal Kombat 11 sheds some light on his origins, where we learn that he was the son of Kronika, a titan who was the original keeper of time. Cetrion, an elder god, was his sister, and Kronika wanted them to be engaged in a duel forever so that there would be a balance of light and dark. The plans of Kronika were thwarted by Raiden when he beheaded Shinnok and incapacitated him permanently. Then, an enraged Kronika tried to reset time to ensure that Cetrion and Shinnok dueled forever without the existence of Raiden to stop them. Noob Saibot. We first saw Noob Saibot as an unplayable character in Mortal Kombat 2, and in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, he made his playable debut. He was once known as Bi-Han, the Elder Sub-Zero, and used to be an assassin for the Lin Kuei faction. He was a vicious, cold-blooded assassin, and the long years of violence eventually corrupted him. He was killed by Scorpion at the end of the first Mortal Kombat tournament, and then Quan Chi resurrected him. He was resurrected as Noob Saibot, and has since been a constant feature in the series. He is usually seen siding with the baddies for his own advantage, and in many instances, he is seen as an antagonist towards his younger brother and Scorpion. He was reborn in Netherrealm and is considered the incarnation of all things evil. In his previous state, he had insane control over ice and can use it to freeze his opponents just like Sub-Zero. It was only in Mortal Kombat Trilogy that we came to know about his powers as Noob Saibot. He seemed to have mastered darkness and can bring about a clone to help him in combat. He supposedly has a degree of immortality, and his unique fighting moves make him a formidable enemy and intriguing character among the many others in the series. Goro. If you have played the original Mortal Kombat, you surely remember the unplayable character who challenges the player before the final fight with Shang Tsung. This is none other than Goro, a member of the Shao Kahn race, which is a species of four-armed, half-dragon and half-human creatures. As you can understand, he has a rather bizarre appearance, and this brutal beast is also high on strength. He is the prince of the Shao Kahn and frequently appears during the campaign. He is an ally to Shang Tsung and serves Emperor Shao Kahn in his fight. Goro is an original character that was first witnessed in the Mortal Kombat game as a side villain. We saw him as the reigning champion who had been winning for 9 generations over 500 years. Now someone who won the Mortal Kombat tournament 9 consecutive times needs no introduction regarding his powers. He is surprisingly agile and uses his superhuman strength to a good effect. Goro is associated with the element of fire and even hurls fireballs from his mouth and hands. He has the honor of defeating the mighty Kung Lao, and even Shang Tsung couldn't do that in his prime. Goro was an important weapon for the Outworld armies and helped in curbing rebellions and conquering new realms. He helped Shao Kahn come close to dominating Earthrealm, but he eventually lost during the fight against Liu Kang. He still remains one of the most favorite warriors of the Emperor and fans. Reptile. Reptile was a faithful servant to the Outworld emperors like Shao Kahn, and he was always loyal to his master Shang Tsung.
Watch her carefully, Reptile. Keep her away from these humans.
This scaly guy made his debut as a secret character in the original Mortal Kombat arcade game, and it was only in Mortal Kombat 2 that he became playable. This hideous humanoid reptilian beast embodied the unhappy underling. However, his loyalty was a special quality because, unlike many other henchmen for the powerful lords, he did not strive for power. In fact, Reptile was not inherently evil and is merely in a delusional state of mind. His species had been driven to extinction, and he seemed to be obsessed with his mission of looking for the last member. His homeworld of Zatera was under the clutches of the Outworld, and he secretly wanted to return it to its former glory. This is what made him so loyal to Shao Kahn, because obeying his master is the key to survival. He would have sudden fits of insanity because of his obsession, and he was somewhat of a fusion between the original Scorpion and Sub-Zero characters. Initially, his powers were similar to Sub-Zero, but in Mortal Kombat 2, he got his own abilities. His corrosive saliva was one of his most potent weapons, and it could burn through steel just like acid. Reptile could make himself invisible, and this made his stealth attacks extremely dangerous. Kronika. Kronika looks just like a human female, but she is no less than a godlike being. She is a Titaness, a being that is higher ranking than an elder god. She is the keeper of time, and thus she could shape destiny.
I am Kronika, keeper of time.
She is the mother of Shinnok, who Raiden saw as a grave threat to the Earthrealm. Thus she sought to erase the timeline and rewrite a new one to protect her son.
I intend to wind time back to its beginning and restart history.
However, according to Raiden, she has done this so many times before to find the ideal reality. We saw this incredible godlike entity in Mortal Kombat 11, where she was a non-playable boss. The story mode showed her as the main villain, and her backstory offered some important explanation for some of the events that took place. She did have a striking appearance with her piercing blue eyes and scalp covered in gold. Her powers need no introduction because she can manipulate time, and she is evidently the dictator of events unfolding. She could stop the chrono flow and summon individuals across the entire timeline to bring them to the present. She also had the ability to use sand as a lethal weapon. However, she is not exactly omnipotent, and even to manipulate time, she needs some external energy source. Liu Kang and Raiden were her feared opponents, and she tried to warp reality several times to make them fight each other. Baraka. He was a character from the Outworld realm and served as a general of the Tarkatan Horde, but was loyal to the half-Tarkatan Mileena and Shao Kahn. We first saw this mean and unpredictable warrior in Mortal Kombat 2, and he was the first playable Tarkatan of the series. Since then, Baraka has been a recurring character and a crucial one to the storyline. He was initially shown to be a frightening warrior who hailed from a race of nomadic mutants called Tarkata. This race was thought to be a cross between the demons of Netherrealm and Outworlders. Many others believe that the Tarkatans were a separate race, and their realm was conquered by Shao Kahn a long time ago. Baraka is easily among the most vicious fighters in Mortal Kombat because, like the other members of his species, he has cannibalistic tendencies. He had long retractable blades that extended from his forearms, and he would fight with some outstanding moves. Besides being skilled with his sharp blades, he also had a healing factor that allowed him to survive serious fatalities. He was only concerned with the well-being of his people and did not necessarily hate the residents of other realms. The terrifying look of Baraka was inspired by a Nosferatu mask that the designers found in a costume shop. Kano. How can you forget the notorious leader of the Black Dragon clan? This ruthless villain was an arch nemesis for Sonya Blade and the special forces who were after him. Kano was an original character introduced in the very first Mortal Kombat game, and since then, he has had recurring roles in the series. He was the leader of an international crime cartel, and this cunning mercenary was extremely opportunistic and selfish. He belonged to the Earth realm, but he did not hesitate to betray his own world for personal benefits. Shao Kahn utilized his shrewd nature and made him a part of his inner circle. He soon rose in ranks to become a general in the Outworld army. He was quite a villainous character with his vulgar sense of humor that made fun of things even in the worst of times. His unpleasant personality was highlighted by his fighting style, which was dirty and ruthless. It was not just about the sheer violence that he unleashed, but about the manner in which he did so. He was skilled in martial arts and was formidable in hand-to-hand fights. However, his lack of discipline made him very unpredictable. He might not have any special powers as such, but his use of deadly weapons was potent enough. His complete lack of morals makes him one of the most hated characters, and Sonya Blade is determined to bring him to justice. Sindel. Sindel might be no more than a supporting character in the franchise, but her presence has strongly impacted the narrative. She was first seen as the mother of Princess Kitana in Mortal Kombat 3, and later in Mortal Kombat 11, we saw her as the queen of Shao Kahn. She is the monarch who rules the otherworldly realm of Edenia along with her daughter. After her realm lost the Mortal Kombat tournament 10 times on the trot, it was invaded by Shao Kahn. The two realms were forcibly united and her husband was murdered. However, Shao Kahn adopted her daughter Princess Kitana and raised her as his own child. Disturbed by the turn of events, Queen Sindel committed suicide, but in Mortal Kombat 3, she is revived by Shao Kahn with a little help from Shang Tsung.
Welcome back, Your Highness.
She had no memory of her past life and was no more than a puppet bride for Shao Kahn. However, her daughter ensured that she learned about her true past, and after Shao Kahn was defeated, Sindel had her rightful place back in Edenia. She did have a menacing look, but wasn't all that bad in terms of the way she ruled. Her expertise over aerial magic and her ability to manipulate sonic waves were some of her trademark powers. Her super loud screaming could blast off an opponent's skin during battles. There is, however, a backstory provided in Mortal Kombat 11 that goes on to show that Sindel was evil all along. Whichever side you choose to approve of, she was an interesting character with a few twists, and we enjoyed her presence in the series. Kintaro. Do you remember how Goro was defeated by Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat? Kintaro replaced him and was a unique member of his species. His feline characteristics were obvious from the tiger stripes all over his body and his cat-like feet. He even had sharp claws and fangs. While the likes of Goro belonged to an elite class of the Tigrar, Kintaro belonged to a lower class. Yet he makes quite an impact with his intimidating appearance. He first appeared in Mortal Kombat 2 and Mortal Kombat Trilogy saw him as a playable character. Initially, the developers thought of making Kintaro an almighty anthropomorphic tiger with arms. However, their problems with the detailed costume made them change their mind, and they instead turned him into the four-armed boss on the same lines as Goro. With every appearance, a more feline tiger look was added to his character. Gamers know him as one of the toughest bosses in the series, and we will never forget about the way he would grab his opponents midair and fling him or her to the ground. His brute strength was supreme, and he hailed from a species that excelled in savagery. It is no surprise that his attacks were gory and merciless, and he was more nimble than the mighty Goro. He was certainly different from the usual fighters in Mortal Kombat, and it was a tough challenge to get the better of this mighty beast. Tanya. Tanya has been one of the most hated characters in the series despite a rather minor presence. She will always be remembered by the fans as the treacherous Edenian. who deceived those that she was supposed to remain loyal to. Time and time again, we have seen her side with a major villain to help them in their sinister causes. She has been a long-term ally to Mileena and even helped Shinnok in his invasion. Tanya first appeared in Mortal Kombat 4 as the conventional female ninja. When the character returned in Mortal Kombat Deception, we were already aware of her true immoral persona. Initially, this slender, gloomy lady from Edenia was introduced as an innocent character. Her father was an ambassador of Edenia, and she was supposedly loyal to the rulers of the realm. Before long, her true colors were revealed, and we learned about her loyalties to the evil Shinnok and her alliance with the Brotherhood of Shadow. When Shao Kahn was defeated, she served Shao Kahn and Onaga. Say whatever you may about her, Tanya was a survivor who knew how to make the best for herself. Her choices were decisions she made for her own benefit. Besides taking the convenient side, she also happened to be a fierce fighter who was extremely agile. She could turn invisible and fool the enemy, and her cunning mind chalked out clever strategies. Her powerful kicks and incredible fighting moves floored the best of opponents, and she even had some pyrokinetic abilities.
Now face me in Mortal Kombat!
Blaze. This elemental deity started off as a cameo and soon made itself a main villain in the series. The prophecy of Armageddon had predicted that the fighters would eventually become way too powerful and the universe would be torn apart as a result. To test the strength of the fighters, Delia created Blaze.
Your mother, my creator, foresaw the coming Armageddon.
However, a group of holy men who still served the long-dead Dragon King Onaga captured Blaze by means of sorcery and tasked him with the protection of the last great dragon egg. In Mortal Kombat 2, we only see Blaze as a burning figure in the background, but in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, he is a secret playable character. Here, after the dragon egg hatched, he could resume the previous mission. Later, Blaze figured that the fighters had indeed become too powerful. He planned to gather all the fighters for a final battle where the fate of the realms would be determined. In Mortal Kombat Armageddon, we saw Blade transporting Taven and Dagon to Edenia where they would fight each other. When Taven emerged victorious, Blaze informed him that the future depended on the remaining brother and he had to defeat him in Mortal Kombat. Thus began the Battle of Armageddon, and Blaze used the Pyramid of Argus to brainwash every fighter to kill each other. However, ultimately it was Shao Kahn who defeated Blaze and usurped all his powers. Blaze had a strange appearance, and he looked like a humanoid being created from flames or lava. He was pretty intimidating and could control the flames with his wristband. Throughout the series, his only purpose was to bring about the Battle of Armageddon, and he did partially succeed in the end. Havik. Havik is different from many others on this list because he is neither good nor evil. He is just an anarchist who loves to watch the realms in disarray. He hails from Chaos Realm and is a cleric of chaos. Throughout the narrative, we see Havik forming alliances with those who can help his cause. He does not seem to care about the goals of his allies, and this troublemaker is only concerned about his own plans. Havik is more of a hero in Chaos Realm because of his alliance with another revolutionary named Darius. Together, they oppose the Dragon King Onaga and they seek absolute lawlessness. Havik plays a crucial role as he leads the others to Onaga's throne room to have him defeated. He even resurrected Shao Kahn to ensure that his rule is chaotic. He has plenty of powers, but the one that amazes us most is his warped body. He does not experience pain, and he can even re-energize himself by dislocating his limbs. From his self-mutilating abilities, many fans suggest that he is undead, but this has never been clarified. What can be a grave injury for others is merely a scratch for him, and his style of fighting is possibly the most unique among the lot. His combat moves involve a perfect mix of disorder and savagery that can destroy his opponents. Havik is also a skilled sorcerer, and he has the power to take control of his victims even if they're in a different realm. His healing powers are absolutely magical, and he can recover from fatal blows like a broken neck or a detached limb without any trouble. We have even seen him survive Scorpion's hellfire-coated punches, and he is clearly one of the hardest to contain. He first made a brief appearance in Mortal Kombat Deception and is one of the primary villains in the Mortal Kombat X comic series.
Onaga, former Emperor of Outworld, the Dragon King.
Onaga. The one being is the progenitor of the 6 realms who works through Onaga, the Dragon King. Onaga first appeared in Mortal Kombat Deception, and then he came back as a playable character in Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Initially, Onaga was introduced in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, where we knew him as the long-dead Dragon King who was the ruler of the Outworld before Shao Kahn. He had an invincible army, but after his sudden death, it was mummified and placed in an ancient tomb. Nobody could locate the tomb until Quan Chi came across it. It is safe to say that Onaga is one of the most powerful characters in the series. The mighty Shao Kahn chose to poison him rather than fight him, and this should be enough of a hint about his powers. He once possessed the Kamidogu, the mystic relics by the elder gods that contain the essence of the realms. This made him invincible with extreme sorcery skills, and it took the combined effort from Shang Tsung, Raiden, and Quan Chi to fight him. His dragon nature enabled him to exhale fire, and he also possessed great regenerative powers. He was seen cleverly utilizing the powers of Blaze to his advantage against other fighters. Shao Kahn was his biggest enemy because he had killed him, and after being resurrected, he is focused on taking back the throne that was taken from him. This vicious ruler wanted to lord over everything that existed, and he provided some of the most unforgettable moments in the history of the series. Reiko. Reiko is known among Mortal Kombat fans for his ruthless brutality that was all over his fights. This character from Outworld desired to become the ruler of the realm, and there are some similarities with Shao Kahn that you will find. We first saw Reiko as a conventional ninja archetype in Mortal Kombat 4. His feature in the game, however, was just a stroke of luck. It was supposed to be Noob Saibot, but he was too hard to spot in some of the stages because he blended in with the background. Thus, the developers brought in Reiko, although the outfit was kept similar to that of Saibot. This grim and stoic-looking man was well built and had a rather intimidating appearance with his glowing blue eyes. His somewhat grizzled appearance matched the ferocity with which he fought, and he was dressed in standard ninja outfits. He has an affiliation with Serena and Kia from NetherRealm, and Mortal Kombat 4 elaborated on this. Reiko is a skilled fighter and was so powerful that he could easily wield the crude hammer. His tactical mind always comes up with the best strategies to engage his enemies, and he is a master of exploiting the weakness of his opponents. He was killed by Melina, but revived by the Blood Code. There was a brief confusion in Mortal Kombat 4 where fans thought him to be Shao Kahn or his successor, but it proved to be otherwise. He served as Shao Kahn's general because the latter saw his ruthless capabilities. His fascination with taking the throne was obvious, and there were times when he would sneak into the throne room just to sit on the throne. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.